Good evening, and welcome back to Iraqi Dinar News, your trusted source for real updates that matter to currency holders worldwide. Tonight, we're diving deep into breaking developments that are shaking up the financial world, especially for those watching the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong. Central banks have just announced new measures that could completely reshape the outlook for both currencies in 2025. If you hold dinar or dong, or even if you've just been curious about these mysterious currencies everyone talks about, stay tuned until the end. Because what's happening right now may shift the way you see international money forever. From Iraq's new stabilization strategy to Vietnam's delicate balance between growth and control, we'll break it all down in simple terms without the noise. This isn't hype. This is about what's really going on behind the scenes in global monetary policy and what it means for you right now. Let's start with Iraq, because that's where the most surprising central bank announcement came from this week. The Central Bank of Iraq, known for taking cautious steps in the past, suddenly made a bold move that caught both investors and local markets off guard. They've implemented a new wave of policy adjustments aimed at strengthening the dinar's stability against the US dollar. Now, this might sound technical, but what it really means is the bank is taking stronger control of how foreign exchange operates inside Iraq. In simple words, they're tightening the flow of US dollars in and out of the market, ensuring every transaction follows the proper channels. This step isn't random. It's a calculated response to ongoing economic pressures and the need to build more trust in the dinar as a national currency. These new regulations focus on stricter oversight of commercial banks and foreign exchange offices. That means local banks in Iraq now face higher compliance standards when processing international transfers. For everyday citizens, that
Could slow things down a little, but for long-term investors, this is actually a sign of strength. Why? Because it means the Central Bank of Iraq is taking its role seriously in protecting the currency's reputation. Imagine it like building a stronger foundation for a house. It takes more time and effort, but once it's done, the whole structure becomes more secure. By improving these controls, Iraq is showing the world that it's ready to play by international financial standards. That can eventually open doors for larger investment flows and partnerships. But what exactly pushed Iraq to make these moves now? In late 2025, experts believe it's a mix of global and regional pressures. Oil prices have been fluctuating sharply over the past few months, affecting government revenues. Inflation concerns are also rising as imported goods become more expensive. The central bank's response? Tightening the dinar's foreign exchange management is a defensive strategy meant to keep the currency stable, even when the global economy gets unpredictable. Some analysts say this could be the groundwork for longer-term appreciation down the road, though that's not guaranteed. What's certain is that Iraq's policymakers are becoming more proactive and less reactive. And that's something investors have been waiting to see for years. Paragraph 5. Now let's shift gears and look at Vietnam, where the story unfolds quite differently. The State Bank of Vietnam has been pursuing a careful but assertive monetary path, balancing rapid economic growth with currency stability. Vietnam's economy has been one of the fastest growing in Asia, fueled by exports, manufacturing, and foreign investment. But with fast growth comes new challenges, especially when it comes to keeping the dong's value in check. The bank has been actively managing the dong to prevent it from appreciating too quickly. A stronger dong might sound like good news at first, but it can actually hurt Vietnamese exports by making them more expensive overseas. So, the central bank is stepping in strategically to keep the currency competitive while maintaining investor confidence. Here's how Vietnam is doing it through what experts call market intervention. When the dong starts to gain too much value, the central bank sells dong and buys foreign currencies, often US dollars. This adds more dong into circulation, preventing it from rising too fast. It's a careful, balancing act. Imagine holding a kite string during strong winds. You don't want the kite to fly away, but you also don't want it to crash. Vietnam's central bank has mastered this art over the years. Their main goal is long-term economic balance, not short-term currency spikes. For dong holders, this means the value may not skyrocket overnight, but it also won't collapse. Stability is the keyword here, and that's exactly what attracts foreign investors looking for predictability. Now, the big question on everyone's mind: do these central bank policies mean we're heading toward major revaluations? The truth is more complex than social media headlines suggest. Central banks rarely announce revaluations out of the blue. Their main mission is stability, not surprise. In Iraq's case, the focus is on protecting the dinar's value and ensuring smoother financial transactions. In Vietnam, the goal is to maintain steady growth while controlling inflation. While neither bank has hinted at sudden rate jumps, both are taking steps that could make their currencies more respected and stable over time. That's the real signal behind these moves. It's about reputation, reliability, and long-term positioning in the global market. For those holding the Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong, the most important lesson here is to focus on trends, not headlines. What do we mean by that? Watch whether these countries' economies are becoming more disciplined, more transparent, and more connected with international markets. If those trends continue, their currencies naturally strengthen. Even if the rate doesn't change overnight, investors who understand this principle tend to make smarter long-term decisions. Many people who tried to time short-term rate changes in the past ended up frustrated, but those who studied economic fundamentals often came out ahead. It's about playing the long game and understanding that strong currencies are built on stable economies, not rumors. Another key takeaway from this week's central bank updates is how both Iraq and Vietnam are embracing global financial cooperation. Iraq has been working more closely with regional banks and the International Monetary Fund on compliance reforms. This partnership is designed to modernize its banking systems and reduce corruption in foreign transactions. Vietnam, on the other hand, continues to attract multinational companies, relocating from China, creating a stronger demand for dong-backed investments. These partnerships are critical. They don't just support currency value, they reshape a nation's financial credibility. In global economics, perception is often as powerful as policy. When investors believe a country is managing its currency responsibly, that confidence becomes self-reinforcing. Let's pause for a second and look at how this affects the average currency holder. If you're holding dinar or dong, you might be wondering whether to sell, hold, or buy more. The honest answer is it depends on your time horizon. These recent policy moves are not quick profit signals. They're foundations for gradual, steady progress. Think of it like planting a tree. You don't get shade on the first day, but if you nurture it patiently, it grows into something strong and valuable. The same applies to currencies backed by improving economies. Iraq's focus on stabilization and Vietnam's strategy of controlled growth both point to sustainable futures, not overnight miracles. Now, let's talk about how global factors play into all of this. The U.S. Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, and China's monetary policies all have ripple effects on emerging market currencies. When the Fed raises interest rates, the U.S. dollar typically strengthens, which can put pressure on currencies like the dinar and dong. However, when global inflation eases or interest rates stabilize, emerging market currencies often regain ground. This interconnection shows that Iraq and Vietnam aren't acting in isolation. They're adapting to a global environment where every move from Washington, Brussels, or Beijing can influence local exchange rates. Understanding these links helps investors stay grounded when interpreting central bank updates. Another major development worth noting is Iraq's ongoing effort to digitize its banking sector. The central bank recently launched initiatives encouraging citizens to move away from cash transactions and toward digital payments. This shift may sound small, but it's revolutionary for Iraq's financial future. Cash-based economies often struggle with tracking money flow and preventing fraud. By digitizing, Iraq can better monitor transactions, improve tax collection, and strengthen its monetary control. Over time, this creates a more transparent, accountable system that supports currency confidence. For investors, these digital transitions are signals of modernization, and modernization is almost always followed by greater currency stability and international recognition. Meanwhile, Vietnam continues to focus on trade expansion. The country's exports remain strong in electronics, textiles, and agriculture, helping maintain a steady demand for the dong. However, the government is carefully managing inflation, which can erode purchasing power if left unchecked. The central bank's ability to balance these forces, growth and stability, is one reason Vietnam's currency remains relatively consistent. Many global economists actually view the dong as one of the more reliable emerging market currencies right now, thanks to consistent policy and predictable management. That stability might not create overnight wealth, but it makes Vietnam a trusted partner in international trade, and that trust often translates into long-term value. So, what does all of this mean for the future of the dinar and dong? In simple terms, both currencies are being positioned for maturity. Iraq's financial reforms suggest towards stronger central bank credibility. Vietnam's disciplined currency management supports its rapid industrial expansion. Both countries are signaling to the world that they want to be seen as stable players, not volatile markets. And while that may not sound as exciting as a sudden or revaluation, in truth, this kind of steady progress is exactly what leads to real, sustainable growth in currency value. In 2025, the world is watching both nations with renewed respect for their evolving financial leadership. Now, let's talk investor mindset, because how you react to news like this matters more than the news itself. In times of monetary change, emotional decisions can be dangerous. Whether it's fear of missing out or panic selling, quick reactions rarely pay off. The smarter approach is to evaluate what's actually changing structurally. Are Iraq's reforms making the dinar more respected internationally? Is Vietnam's growth making the dong more globally used? If the answer is yes, then the long-term potential remains strong. Remember, currencies move slowly, but value built on fundamentals lasts much longer than hype-driven spikes. Looking ahead to the rest of 2025, analysts expect continued fine-tuning from both central banks. Iraq may introduce further digital and banking reforms, while Vietnam could adjust its intervention tools depending on export trends. Neither country is likely to chase unrealistic short-term gains. Instead, both appear focused on strengthening their economic foundations. This approach has already started changing how global investors view them. Over time, that shift in confidence can translate into stronger, more stable currency performance. It's not a question of if progress happens, it's a matter of patience and perspective. Before we wrap up, let's not forget how these moves fit into the bigger global picture. As more countries modernize their financial systems, transparency becomes the new currency of trust. Iraq and Vietnam are both stepping onto that global stage with clear intent to build resilience, accountability, and credibility. These are the same pillars that once transformed developing economies like South Korea and Singapore into global financial players. Could Iraq and Vietnam be on a similar path? Many experts say yes, but the process will take consistent effort and time. What matters most now is sustained commitment to reform, not overnight miracles. So there you have it, the urgent update shaking up the dinar and dong markets in 2025. Both central banks are acting decisively, not recklessly, and that's a strong sign of maturity. The Central Bank of Iraq is fortifying its currency through tighter policies, while Vietnam's central bank is carefully steering the dong through a period of global uncertainty. For currency holders and watchers alike, this is the time to stay informed, not impulsive. Focus on fundamentals, track long-term progress, and remember, financial transformation doesn't happen in a single announcement. It unfolds step by step, policy by policy. What do you think about these new changes? Are Iraq and Vietnam finally setting the stage for lasting currency strength? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button if you found this analysis helpful. And don't forget to subscribe for more real, fact-based dinar and dong updates. Until next time, stay informed. and keep your eyes on the fundamentals.